Today I'm going to talk about how brands can maximize their product portfolio explorations for their clients with the help of graph technology and graph data science. So this is a question that many brands can have, and that we asked to many brands. Which one is your most important product? Of course, it's a really hard question to answer, but I tend to claim that most of them actually get it completely wrong. So in order to answer this question, you need a bunch of insights. And insights are collected today from many different sources. There are many different types of insights that you collect. And the one that I believe is one of the most untapped areas of insights is customer reviews. We have a tremendous amount of information where customers are talking to the brand, and we don't do that much with it. Because there hasn't, until graph technology came along, there hasn't been a good way to actually look at this in a good way. So in order to put this on a chart a little, where the different insights lie, we have this insight chart, which compares data certainty and time to insights for the different type of insight sources. The one that many people still rely on, that is a fairly uncertain insight, is the intuition. It is something that we cannot take out of the account because you rely on it, but it is based on history. It is based on what you've gone through. It is based on what has happened before. Another thing that is also based on what has happened is market reports. Well, market reports that you can order. There are big firms that deliver these kind of market reports, but they look again on the history. They try to make some sense out of the looking ahead. The problem with those in the economy that we have today, especially for brands, it needs to be rapid. These reports take months. When they come out, they tend to be almost out of date. The same thing goes for audience surveys. It is a little bit closer in terms of fact because you've actually talked to the customers, but still it takes way too long for it to be implemented into a brand for immediate action. Then we have transactional data, which is something that is coming up here on all of the talks at Graph Connect, because that is a good source of insights. But there is one more source, and that is the customer reviews. And it is in many ways untapped. We have direct connection. The customer screams to us what they want, what they're not satisfied with, what they are satisfied with. Of course, we want to be up on the total 100% fact, but like David Ogilvy says, customers, they don't think how they feel, they don't say what they think, and they don't do what they say. So let's keep that in mind. It keeps it down from the fact a little bit. It is just important to have there. So looking at this, at today's economy, this whole section, it is a bit too slow. It works on many different occasions, but in general, we see it as too slow. The one down in the bottom, it is too inaccurate. But we want to be up here in the top. Fast and accurate. That is what every brand says that they want. Oh, we should be agile. We should be accurate. We should talk to our customers. We can also look at a different chart that is the prediction chart, which looks at data amplitude and insight detail. Are we looking at the whole segment, or are we looking down on the product-specific insights? Are we looking at single data input sources or millions and millions? Where again, customer reviews and transactionals data is in the top. We can go down, we can get millions of insights, but down on a product-specific level. This segment, it is hard to drill down to actions. It is commonly used when you talk about the strategical goals, when you talk about like the long-term things. Up here, we can get down to actionable insights on a daily basis. So looking at the customer reviews, it is a massive data challenge, looking at the large-scale customer reviews. And in order to make some sort of comparison or metaphor, answering the first question, which one is the most important product, looking at reviews, if we look at them one by one, we won't make sense of it. You compare it to, oh, this one is living its own life. Compare it to, is the world flat? If we should try to answer that, we can look at the reviews one by one with binoculars. But that depends so much on where we are at the moment, what we're pointing the binoculars at. Are we standing on a tall building? Are we standing down by a lake? Are we looking at the horizon? Are we looking into a forest? It doesn't make much sense to take that one snapshot to get a big picture of what it is talking about. But we have the technology. We have the technology with NEO to go up in space, take a couple of laps around the world and say, nah, it's round. So you need that big context. You need to look at it from a context perspective. And it is like Mary, if you listen to her talking about knowledge graphs, knowledge graph, it is all about the context. So in order to start looking at reviews, we need a knowledge graph. And to have a knowledge graph, we need a graph model. I'm going to try to keep this talk as non-technical as possible, but instead keep it on a high level, more conceptual way. I hope you can appreciate that. There's so many technicians here that is so brilliant. So listen to those. I'm just going to touch the surface of all the technical stuff. But basically, this is the graph model that we use in many cases to build our knowledge graphs. We have the products, the categories, the reviews, the ratings, the customers. And of course, on top of this, we can add transactional data to enrich it even further. Sometimes it actually brings positive things, sometimes it can be a clutter. And then we can create purchase patterns based on these reviews. We have all of the data. So we can create with simple Cypher queries these purchase patterns that actually creates the customer journey. For each individual customer, they bought this product, after that they bought this, they bought the next one, they bought the next one. What can we do with this? I guess for the people in the crowd here that is used to Neo4j and is used to technology, and say, oh, this is not as impressive. We can do this with a normal SQL database, absolutely no problem. But there are things coming that you cannot do with a SQL database. And that is the GDS and the NLP. We can add this on top of the graph model and the knowledge graph to create a toolbox of insights that not only goes to one part of the company, but actually divides into different parts of the company and into the brand where they can maximize the output of this knowledge graph. We like to say you take the tactical insights in order to reach your strategical goals. This is what our main focus is. You need the tactical insights to get you one step closer to the strategical goals. And like I said, this is examples of interesting questions that can be divided into different segments of the company, depending on the results, depending on the needs, but they all come from the customer reviews. Still, it's an untapped source. And I want to drill down a little closer into two subjects that I find really, really interesting, which is the trajectory reasons and the trajectory products. So, like I said before, we can get the data from all different kind of sources. We can get it from transactional data, and we can get it from reviews. Funny enough, the reviews are in many cases, take for example Amazon. All of their data is open and public. This is a way for them to make all of the information available. There is always a discussion about what if the reviews are fake? What if they're touching the reviews? If a company like Amazon, if it would come out that they fiddle with the reviews, they're gone. It is almost like a cryptocurrency in itself. It is so valuable, these reviews, because people read them. People base their purchase patterns upon these reviews. So talking about trajectories, what is trajectory? I'm just going to go by it real quickly so we are all on the same page. When we talk about trajectory product, we mean which product leads to the next purchase. Where is there a trajectory? In this example, it is the product A that is the trajectory product. In the next example, it is the product B. If we combine these and have the whole purchase pattern, both A and B are trajectory products, where A has a higher value, because A leads to B, but A also leads to C. If we talk about trajectory reasons, it is the reviews. Is there something in the reviews that we can take use of in turn to identify the reason why they bought the first product, why they bought the next product, why they bought the previous product? Is there anything there that we can make sense of? It's pretty easy to see in the previous picture, but try to figure it out here. This is still a really small sample set of products where the relationships, it is the trajectory jumps. Which one here is the most important product? Well, one way to look at it is that you look at the sales volume. That is a normal way of looking at it. Here we have the node size is representing the sales volume. So a bigger node means more sale. It is easy to see here which are the biggest ones. And we usually refer to this as your hero product. These are the products that has the most common repurchases. It is the products that is most likely to be advertised and so on. But are those the most important if you want to maximize a product portfolio journey? There are examples where there are brands that have products, they have a full range of products in their portfolio, but there is one or two or three that has a huge volume, but people don't even know that they sell other products. So we think that we can use the GDS in many ways to amplify the insights that we can get from these data. Like I said before, I'm just going to touch base on these, not dig too much down into the details. If there's some Cypher nerd or GDS nerd here, you might, that is not 100% how it works, but bear with me, we're talking conceptual here. Reverse PageRank. PageRank is a part of Centrality, but I think you can figure out that that is kind of my favorite in here. That's why I needed to have its own topic here. But looking into Centrality, that is one way to looking at this. Again, we have the graph that is presenting nodes and their subsales. So the Centrality can be used, but it is very much dependent on your question. What do you want to know? You can use degrees. If you want to know which node has led to the most different kind of product, you can use degrees. You can use the closeness between us, but it is very reliant on which kind of question you have. We can talk embedding. This is a typical topic where everyone wants to drill down. I'm just going to touch base and have one example on it. There are many good talks here that explains in details how embeddings work. But in general, you make a vector representation, a digital representation of a node in its graphical space. So here we have a product with a bunch of reviews connected to it. What we can do is, as an example, we can take all of these reviews, we put them in a master word list. So all of the words goes into one list. We can sort out the words that doesn't have enough reoccurrence. We can sort out the words that have too many reoccurrences. So we have a good base to start comparing to. Then we take each individual review and create embeddings, which is not the long digit representation that you normally use with embeddings, but instead the binary kind of version. For each word in the review, you get a 1 if it exists, a 0 if it doesn't exist. It's a very simple way of working with embeddings, but it is so powerful when you're using it against millions and millions and millions of nodes. So when we've done this, it is super simple to answer questions like, what products are similar from a customer feedback perspective? We have this product, they talk about this thing. Over here, they talk about exactly the same thing. All of a sudden, the two products have a relationship. They're connected. And we can do what is called neighborhood prediction. We can also do classification based on what words are reoccurring in the review itself. We can make classifications. What is it about? Is it about sizing? Is it about the color, the customer experience, and so on and so forth? But there's another way to make the classification on a much deeper level. That is the natural language processing. So with NLP, we can do review classification, both on the review in itself and on individual parts of the review. And then we can do the sentiment analysis on the review itself and on the individual topics in the review. So for example, here is Samantha. She's bought a workout shirt for her boyfriend that it has a new year, new me kind of experience, like I guess everyone has gone through a couple of times every decade. So she bought this shirt. She has given it a 5-star rating. So we can take that in and say, she's really happy with this shirt, super, everything is good. But there's so much more information in this feedback that we want to make something out of. So with the NLP, we can start identifying different classes within a review in itself and put a sentiment on top of it. She's talking about she bought it a large and it fits very well. Great. It has the topic of sizing and it has a sentiment of a positive. She's happy with the sizing. But she also talks about she bought it in Jupiter Blue and she was not satisfied with that. That was not 100%. Excellent. Then we have another topic talking about the color. And we have a third one that talks about the customer experience, which she is not happy with either. All of a sudden, we have 3 classes for one review with 2 different sentiments. All of it, we're starting to drill down into the really interesting thing. Now we can answer questions like, what topics does a review contain and what's the sentiment for each specific topic? And then we come to the thing that I think is super interesting. The PageRank. I don't know why I find it so exciting, but this was the PageRank as we know today. It's an algorithm that was made by Larry Page in 1998 and one of his co-founders of Google. They use this as a way of measuring the importance of a website page. And basically what it does, it calculates all of the incoming links, gives it a score, and calculates outgoing links. So it gives it a score in terms of how many people are linking towards it, and it gives away score. So I sat down one day and was like, it has a connection in one way to reviews, because we're talking about the hops, which product was bought before the other one. So what happens if we just turn this around? We do the PageRank algorithm, but we run it in reverse. We reverse the orientation because we don't want to know which node everything is pointing towards. We want to know where it starts. Which one is the initial product that leads to the whole journey? So by doing this, we can identify products in brand catalogs with the highest probability to lead to a complete portfolio journey. When we do that, here we have the same kind of graph with the representation of the size in the form of sales volume. It is easy to identify which size has the most sales. But we reverse the orientation, and on top of that, we can now put the weighting in. How important is a relationship from one node to another based on not only the actual sale, but how happy was the client with the purchase, and how happy are other clients with the product that we're going to recommend as the next one. So we can get a good recommendation for not the customer, but for the company and the brand itself of if they have $100, where are you going to put it in the advertisement to get the most exploration of the catalog, but also the happiest client. Because you don't want to recommend or push a product that people are not happy with. You should fix that problem. If you have a shoe, everyone says it's too small, fix the problem. Communicate that it is one size smaller, or make it bigger. Otherwise, doesn't make much sense trying to force it down people's throat. So, with this kind of way, all of a sudden, if we put color on the PageRank, it starts to occur really interesting patterns. If we zoom in a little, here we can see the brighter the color, the more important the product is. But if we zoom in, I'm pretty sure that there are some nodes that you didn't see initially. These are the nodes. They don't have the highest sales volume. They don't. But in terms of making a good trajectory product, they're the highest ranked. So the big one nodes, you can normally see. But those small ones, it's those that are the really, really interesting thing. And using this mythology, we can start using our imagination a little now. Because what happens if we not only do the trajectory product or the trajectory reason? What if we start looking at the cross-brand trajectories? What if we look at cross-category trajectories or cross-channel trajectories, segment trajectories, churn trajectories, and what many people are super curious about, competitor trajectories? Because the data is out there, and this is all possible. So start to imagine how this could help brands. That was all for me.